What's up, everybody? It's the Tabletop Tyrant, and today we're talking about Skavenslayer. Yes, I know we're overdue. I just tend to overthink these things, and then they just never get made because I think they're not good enough. So I'm putting this out there, and we'll see how everyone takes to it. I want it to be more laid back, me talking to you like it's a book club rather than so formal like the first one. So let's get into this. Skavenslayer is a fantastic book, one I absolutely recommend anyone looking to get into the Warhammer lore. It covers the Empire very well, and it covers Skaven and kind of the inner workings of Skaven hierarchy and kind of how the Empire works as well. It expands upon the two iconic characters, Gotrek Gurnisson, a disgraced dwarf who's become a troll slayer to atone for a sin that we're not quite sure what it is at this point. And then Felix Jaeger, kind of like the bastard child, the disgraced poet, killed someone in a duel, kicked out of college, kind of like this wandering mercenary that no one respects. He's my favorite by far. And they're a very unlikely partnership that leads them into the underbelly of the Empire, quite literally. They're broke, desperate for coin. Gotrek and Felix join the sewer watch of Nuln, a ragtag militia charged with patrolling the city's labyrinth underways. Their duty? To root out vagrants, mutants, and anything threatening one of the Empire's grandest cities. But in the darkness beneath Nuln, they soon discover something far more sinister. The Skaven. Now, this book serves as a thrilling introduction to the Warhammer infamous Ratmen, revealing their inner workings of their twisted society, and you'll be introduced to a few things. What are Grey Seers, Clan Skyer, Clan Pestilence, Clan Moulder, and the Gutter Runners. Now, the Grey Seers are like sorcerers. Clan Skyer is a bunch of engineers. They tend to kind of dismantle things and rebuild it better using warpstone, obviously. Clan Pestilence is in the name. They're like the plague-ridden rats. Clan Moulder are the masters of flesh crafting. They make the big war beasts. You'll see some rat ogres probably within their ranks. And the Gutter Runners are the elite, infamous assassins. So as all this kind of unfolds, it's kind of like a mystery novel. The duel has to work together to kind of get to the bottom of what's really taking place at Nuln. They keep getting stuck by Ratmen. The Ratmen keep going and doing their own thing, thwarting their plans. All of this unfolds as the duel become entangled in a web of treachery, chaos, and yes, even war. Skaven infighting threatens to undermine the entire scheme, while the machinations of the Thanquil, a Grey Seer of immense ambition and incompetence, push events to the brink of disaster. With action, dark humor, and deep world building, Skavenslayer is an essential read in Gotrek and Felix's saga. If you crave battle, intrigue, and a first-hand look at the horrors lurking beneath the old world, this book delivers. So the first chapter we open up with is Skavens Claw. So having arrived in the imperial city of Nuln, Gotrek, Gurnisson, and Felix Jaeger find themselves in need of employment. Desperate for coin, they take up work as sewer jacks, patrolling the dark, fee-tied underbelly of the city alongside a band of hardened misfits. But what begins as a routine sweep quickly turns into a nightmare. During one such patrol, the group stumbles upon a secret meeting between a human noble and a Skaven Ratman, a creature most still refuse to believe exists. The confrontation turns deadly when the Skaven assassinates their squad sergeant using a poison gas bomb, though it meets its own gruesome end at the hands of Gotrek's throwing axe. Yeah, clobbers them dead in the face. Now, with the gas cloud spreading, the surviving sewer jacks are forced to kind of flee, and then they retreat to the surface after gas dissipates with a lot of questions and no answers. Later that night, Felix has an unexpected visit from his estranged brother, Otto Jaeger, who invites him to dinner at the prestigious Golden Hammer restaurant. There, Felix is horrified to recognize the very man from the sewers, Fritz von Hallstatt, the ruthless head of Countess Emanuel's secret police. Otto, oblivious to the truth, describes von Hallstatt as a powerful and influential figure, also scary as shit. And in reality, the noble has been covertly working with the Skaven, using them as informants to purge suspected mutants from Nuln. However, he remains unaware that the Ratmen are manipulating him, orchestrating these purges to eliminate key individuals and weaken the city in preparation for their own full-scale invasion. So, what they're doing is they're telling von Hallstatt that he's killing mutants, but really, von Hallstatt's just killing political officials that could help prevent a fight. And because Halstead's father was killed by mutants, he has this huge disdain for him. The touch of chaos can be anywhere. He's very anal retentive, has his servants check the water before his bath, and, flogs people. He's very, very weird guy, and a huge douche. Now, realizing the Sewerjacks could expose him, Von Halstead conspires with Greyseer Thanquol, the new Skaven leader in Nuln, to silence them permanently. Thanquol dispatches his monstrous rat ogre bodyguard Bone Ripper, beautiful mini by the way, who brutally murders Hef and Spider, two of Gotrek and Felix's comrades. The remaining Sewerjacks, Gotrek Felix, and Rudy vow vengeance. And vengeance they do try to get. Determined to end the threat, they infiltrate Von Halsted's estate through a hidden passage in the sewers. Felix, breaking into the study, confronts the corrupt nobleman in a ferocious duel. Though Von Halstead is the superior swordsman, Felix fights with desperate fury, ultimately striking him down because he was distracted by Bone Ripper getting an axe planted in his head. And as for Rudy, he was ripped apart and eaten by the rat ogre. But their victory is short-lived. Gotrek having killed Bone Ripper, Felix having dueled Fritz, is pinked in the eye, kind of laying there. Oh, Gotrek, leave me, I'm dying. He's like, Manling, you're fine, get up, or I'm going to get branded as a criminal, and I'll have atoned for nothing. So they get up, they leave, and Nuln remains unaware of the horrors lurking beneath its streets, but the war between man and rat has only begun. Also, too, they set the manor ablaze to kind of hide the evidence. After their harrowing encounter with the Skaven in the sewers of Nuln, Gotrek, Gurnisson, and Felix Jaeger find themselves unceremoniously expelled from the sewer watch. Their dismissal comes after Gotrek, never one for patience or diplomacy, brutally assaults the watch captain for refusing to believe their report on the Ratmen. Thrown in jail for their troubles, the duo is bailed out by Felix's brother Otto. And you can kind of see how Otto is going to really regret making himself known to his brother. And he remains still oblivious to the true scale of the danger lurking beneath the city. He's trying to get Felix to leave. He's like, I'll give you $50, leave the city, get the hell out of here, you're making this hard for me. But with few options left, Gotrek and Felix aren't leaving. Instead, they take up work as bouncers at the Blind Pig, a rowdy tavern owned by Heinz, an old mercenary friend of Gotrek's. Now, while the Slayer relishes any excuse to fight, Felix finds some solace in a more personal distraction. Alyssa, a tavern gal who he rescues from a gang of thugs, and they're trying to put sausage, not their sausage, but literal the food sausage in her face and making innuendos, and he goes up there and beats up these evil college kids and saves her. Now remember, he's still kind of recovering from his last love from the first book when she gets killed by the goblin, or actually when Von Deal kills her. So he's still, this is like his recovery girl, his rebound girl. So, it is what it is. And it's kind of nice for him. It gives him peace. He's able to have some fun, take his mind off of life. Now, the peace that Felix does have is fleeting because deep within the Undercity, Greyseer Thanquol, still pissed from having been outsmarted and failed, plots his revenge. Determined to rid himself of these meddling surface dwellers, he dispatches an elite squad of gutter runner assassins, led by the deadly Chang Squeak. Now, Chang Squeak gets like a good, maybe 5 minutes of story just to flop. It's amazing. Now, the first group of assassins attempt to ambush Gotrek in the dead of night, but their plan quickly turns to carnage because the Slayer, he don't rest, he don't mess around, and he got good ears. So before anything could even happen to him, he's just beating the hell out of rats. Now, and he notices too that the bodies start dissolving. They put like a spell on the gutter runners to make their body liquefy because they're still like a myth to humans, so they don't want any evidence if these guys fail. Now, before they were able to raise the alarm, the second wave tries to assassinate Felix by breaking into his room. Now, he's trying to get Alyssa out the door, trying to parry and riposte these dirty rats, but they both manage to escape in time, setting off a chaotic pursuit throughout the tavern. Some dude has a heart attack. They start burning his room, and, Heinz is just getting back in his old mercenary days, leading the charge on these filthy rat men and slaughtering them down. And that's going to end where we are in Gutter Runners. That's the end of it. The Gutter Runners have failed. Now we're going to move into Night Raid, which is another chapter. You're going to see Clan Skyer show up here. Beneath the city of Nuln, the vast Skaven army gathers, poised for a full-scale invasion. Don't ask me why I do that, I'm an idiot. Among the ranks, Heskett One-Eye, the cunning leader of Clan Skyer's contingent, devises a bold plan to raid the College of Engineering, seeking to seize human technology to bolster Skyer's already formidable arsenal of warp-filled weapons. Primarily the steam tank. However, Hesketh's ambitions do not go unnoticed. Grayseer Thankful, ever the schemer, learns of the raid through Lurch Snitch Tongue in the name. Fearing that Hesketh's success might grant him greater prestige or possibly usurp his own authority, Thankful devises an underhanded countermeasure. He arranges for the mysterious warding, written in horribly mangled Reichsspiel, which is how the Empire people write, to be sent to Gotrek and Felix, tipping them off about the Skaven's plan. Thankful's not an idiot. His plan's twofold. Either A, Gotrek and Felix get killed by Hesketh, right? B, Hesketh's plan gets thwarted and they come out victorious, in which case Hesketh looks like a fool. Now, on the night of the attack, most of the Nuln engineers are attending a grand banquet at the palace. I think it's the Feast of Verena, which is the goddess, the patron goddess of knowledge and engineering and all this other stuff. So the College of Engineers was given a banquet by the Countess Emmanuel for all their work they're doing, and that's great. As they're kind of having this banquet, Gotrek and Felix are having some dialogue. Alyssa's in there, they're talking. There's this whole side story going on. And they pay some little poor boy to give him the letter. Felix reads it. Him and Gotrek aren't really sure what to make of it. They're like, yeah, we should check into it, but we shouldn't tell anyone because no one's going to believe us. They didn't believe us the last time. And so they're kind of going to go set out and see what they can do about it. Now, while getting there, because it's the Feast of Verena, everyone's out having a good time. They're chilling. They're hanging out. They're low-key. They're not doing much of anything. And because of that, the Skaven are able to kill the guards on watch. Hesketh gets down there, sees the steam tank, finds out the hole they dug under the city is too small for it, and is like, what could I do? Decides to get in the steam tank. Now, he doesn't tell his entire army he's getting in the steam tank. And they kind of start freaking out. They're like, oh, there's a human in there. So they start shooting at the steam tank. He's pissed because they're shooting at him. And he thinks that Thankful's convinced his men to betray him. So he's starting to run him over with the steam tank. Gotrek and Felix show up. It's just a shit show. Everything's going down. Skaven are killing Skaven. Gotrek's killing Skaven. Felix falls into the steam tank, starts choking the crap out of Hesketh. And as it dives into this pit and kind of wrecks, Hesketh gets the hell out of there because he knows what's going to happen. And Felix is like, peace. That's not a good sign if he's running. They start running. He's like, Gotrek, get down. And the whole steam tank blows up, killing just hordes of the Ratman army. And Hesketh is left escaping because he dived into the sewage and swam away. Which leads us into the next chapter, the Plague Monks of Pestilence. So, deep in the Skaven-infested tunnels beneath Nuln, a new and insidious threat begins to fester. Vile Broth Nuln. That's the dude in charge of everything. The loathsome leader of Clan Pestilence sets his foul disciples to work concocting a deadly plague designed to wipe out the human population of the city. Now, they have this artifact they're taking called the Cauldron of 1,000 Poxes. They stole it from Nurgle in the beginning of time, and now it serves the Skaven. Kind of cool story. But these guys are doing this, again, on their own for their own glory. And as always, the Skaven treachery is double-edged blade. Lurch Snitchton goes to Thankful and says, hey dude, they're betraying you. I don't know what they are. I just heard word. And Thankful's kind of running out of time because he knows the plague's twofold. It's going to spread to the rats. It wasn't sanctioned. And two, they could take his glory. So he's like, all right, Lurk, you're going to go. You're ingratiated to me because you keep getting up, but you're pretty resourceful. So he's like, we're going to go, give you this letter, take that down to Gotrek and Felix, tell them that something's going on. And we're going to meet kind of a couple more characters in this. So right now, Felix has kind of turned Otto Jaeger down a few times for the family business and also kind of really needed Otto Jaeger's help. So this chapter is no different. Him and Elisa are sick. They saw a man dying of the plague and they're worried they might have it. So they go to Otto. Otto refers them to a doctor who is going to be pretty big in this series and in a later book. And Dr. Drexler is his name, a man of exceptional medical expertise and reassuring demeanor. To their relief, Drexler diagnosed their condition as nothing more than a common cold. However, Felix's unease persists. Something far worse is spreading through Nuln, and he intends to uncover the truth. Now, Dr. Drexler studied in Araby, which they make this big deal, like, what could you learn in Araby that you couldn't learn here? And Drexler's like, yeah, no, they're actually way smarter than we are. We're still bleeding people and bloodletting. They're using real medicine and magic with their medicine. But this is where the first, like, continuity error comes up. Dr. Drexler notices Felix's sword and brings it back to the Templar Aldred, who died fighting that Chaos Troll for the sword. Remember, he had his head bit off or ripped off. And Drexler shouldn't have known that by the sword, because that sword was never on Aldred's hip. He was questing for it. That sword had been lost for eons. So I don't know how he could have told him, how he could have known that that was Aldred's sword. But anyways, he brings it up, and Felix is like, oh yeah, I went with him in the Border Princes, and we went on this quest, and he was killed like a hero. So Drexler's kind of like melancholic to hear his homie dies, but, you know, also says, hey, let's meet up and go to the Gardens of Moor and look at the dead and kind of get an idea of what we're dealing with here, and if I can help you, I will. So he and Gotrek and Drexler go to the Garden of Moor. They're looking for any clues, and then Drexler comes up with nothing, and they're left to kind of do their own investigation. Now, Felix is like, every one of them had that flower. Maybe that's a pattern. And it's like this black flower that grows in the ground, and it roots itself into the caskets of the dead. And they pick them. It's a ceremonious thing. When someone dies, they pick up one of those flowers and they wear it. And that's how the plague's spreading. So Felix and Gotrek go at night, break into the Garden of Moor, huge sin, let alone huge crime, but a sin too. And they start investigating, and they find the underground hidden lair by Vilebroth Nuln. Him and his fanatical plague monks are feverishly working at this point over the cauldron of 1,000 poxes, brewing their vile contagion. A vicious battle erupts, and it's noted that these plague-ridden monks are moving very fast, quick. Vilebroth is chanting, but they're not even afraid, and they should be like falling over because of how sick they look. Anyways, Gotrek's Gotrek. He's clobbering Skaven. Felix realizes if he doesn't do something about Vilebroth, they're going to eventually tank Gotrek. So he jumps over the cauldron, starts wrestling with Vilebroth, whoops his ass, tries to drown him in his own cauldron, and then he gets out all sick, teleports away, and Gotrek clocks the cauldron with his axe and destroys it. The plague monks of Clan Pestilence are beaten back, and the city for now is saved, although it's really not, because they're now getting a plague. Now we're moving on to the next chapter, the Beasts of Moulder. These guys, again, some of my favorite rats. I think they're funny. They have a little gimmick. There's this little nerdy rat with glasses. It's like this weak link that created this super weapon, and we're going to get right into that. As the plague ravages Nuln, bodies pile high in the streets, and fear grips the city. But disease is only the beginning of the Skaven's grand design. Isaac Grottle, the grotesque and sadistic leader of Clan Moulder's contingent, devises a new horror to cripple the city's ability to sustain itself. His plan is simple. He got it from himself. Create a rat that will eat everything in sight and then die. Now, these rats are genetically engineered, and these rats have an insatiable appetite and a capability of devouring every scrap of food in their path, and also small children, it's noted in the book. With starvation compounding the effects of the plague, the city will be left weakened and ripe for conquest. But once again, Skaven treachery proves to be their own unfolding. Lurch Snitchtongue comes at it again, ever opportunistic, hears about this plan from his cousin, and tells Thankful after using him for some warp tokens to get more alcohol. Now, as Lurk seizes this chance to kind of curry favor with Gracier Thankful, he scurries off to deliver the news. And Thankful's always eager to undermine his rivals, right? He wants to be the one in charge. The guy that was supposed to be replaced him, I should have said this, was assassinated by Thankful. He has a group of people that assassinated him with an exploding donkey and a crossbow, he says. Now, dispatching Lurk with yet another warning to Gotrek and Felix, hoping they will intervene and ruin Grottle's plan or die trying. Now, meanwhile, tensions are rising between Felix and Alyssa. She's kind of been rekindled with her old lover, who was kind of like embarrassed and ashamed and got kicked out of her village and went to go find wealth in the city. So Felix is kind of like arguing with her, but he's kind of realizing like he doesn't really care if she leaves. He's kind of like, yeah, what's she going to do with me? I'm a wandering mercenary. And, it's kind of this done deal. Gotrek gets the letter. Him and Felix are out of there. They're going to go and see what's going on. There's a little bit of in between. Some of you are going to notice like I left out something with the new secret police, or I left out some stuff with Dr. Drexler. Yes, because I want you guys to go into the book yourself. And I think that that's the fun thing about this. Now, They're told that they're to look for a black barge in the middle of the night. And because Gotrek's a dwarf, he's able to see really good at night. Spots the black barge. They go on there, beat the crap out of all the Skaven, beat the crap out of the old fat guy rowing the boat who's not rowing fast enough. And they go in there. They're introduced to these, and they burn the barge down, jump in the water. Felix thinks Gotrek's dead, but he pops out and is alive and has the same guy he was berating and belittling and harassing with words, hoisting him back to shore. So we're left with that. It fails, and then on the way back, the little four-eyed Skaven, who's the brains behind the genetic engineering, trips over, drops the last box of rats, and now it's eating the Skaven's reserve of food. So the battle for Nuln is nothing less than a giant shit show. So far, out of all the leaders that are still around, Gotrek and Felix are going to fight. Thankful has this plan to use Chang Squeak to kind of bring a scrying dish into the main event hall and teleport him and his storm vermin in and just start zapping people with electric bolts until Countess Emmanuel comes and he's won. But things don't go to plan. All the other leaders found out that Lurch Snitchtongue was using their plans and telling them that Thankful, and now they want revenge. They want to thwart Thankful's plans. So they get Lurch to write another letter, and they go and have him delivered to Gotrek and Felix, except this time Felix catches him. A little fight ensues. Lurch falls into the sewers, just barely getting away from Felix, and then the storm vermin and all the soldiers take that as the cue to go. Chang Master Squeak is not where he needs to be. He drops the scrying dish in a bathroom and then goes about his day. And because it's a costume party, everyone's like, dude, fucking dope costume, bro. So he's eating hors d'oeuvres, enjoying himself. And meanwhile, Thankful's teleporting his stupid ass into a bathroom with his dudes. And they're just kind of like pissed. He's pissed again because incompetence has just plagued him this whole time. And, out of all this, there's these big battles going on. Felix kills a rat ogre. Isaac Grottle, Lurch Snitchtongue, they manage to escape, but Heskett gets a building collapse on top of him. He dies, and then Valbroth Nuln is just clobbered by Gotrek as they're running to the palace to save the Countess Emmanuel. Thankful is like, if I find that freaking gutter runner, Chang Master Squeak, and he's in there being an idiot, I'm going to blast him, and God, may the horned rat preserve me for doing so. But the funny thing is everyone's in a costume. So he starts blasting people to get Countess Emmanuel's attention. And one of the people he grabs is Chang Master Squeak. And he's like, no, not me, not me. And Thankful's like, oh, I know who you are. And he's like, perfect excuse to blast you. He does, just incinerates that fool, throws him down. Finally, the Countess steps up. Gotrek and Felix burst in. Dr. Drexler uses his magic to shield them. Thankful, knowing the day's over, says peace, bounces out the scrying dish. Storm vermin are wiped out. No one gets credit because they're still wanted criminals in Altdorf for the window tax riot, and they're forced to move, and the book ends there. Thankful is out and about, still alive. No one hunted him down. Our protagonists are now leaving Nuln to go to a bar where he gets a letter from a dwarf telling him to meet him in a tavern because there's a mighty doom that awaits him. And that mighty doom is something we're going to talk about next month in Demon Slayer. So everybody, thank you for putting up with this. Let me know how you like the format. I wanted to be a little bit more laid back where we talk back and forth. What was your favorite part about Skavenslayer? What was some of the stuff you really enjoyed? Let me know down below. Any changes you want me to make, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think would be better, and I'll make an effort to change it around a little bit. This Friday, we're going to talk about Tamarcon. That's how we're going to do it. Everybody, thank you for your time. Peace.